What's up, everybody? Welcome back. We just saw you guys, and we're here again. This is going to be SnOw versus Effort in day 2 here in the ASL Season 20 Round of 8.
We had an amazing match on day 1 of the Round of 8. Mini versus Barracks. If you haven't seen that yet, what are you doing here? But man, going up to Game 7, I love series like that. I love series decided on a crazy aggressive cheese as well. And I'm just hoping that we get something similar here today. I think SnOw versus Effort, this could be a really close match. You know, SnOw has been probably, I think, overall the strongest player next to Sulky lately. But Effort is like God tier. He's actually a God tier player. He's one of the best players ever to play the game. He's won already multiple championships. And here he is. And every time he's here, I feel like he's in top form and has potential to win the whole tournament.
This could be the toughest match for SnOw. I think a lot of people are looking at SnOw as the favorite for this entire tournament, and I think that's pretty reasonable. In some ways, he does seem to be the strongest and most consistent player that's in the Round of 8 for the RSL for what has been a very unusual Round of 8. Maybe the weirdest RSL Round of 8 we've had in the last couple years. It's just not generally the lineup of players you would expect. There are so many big names that are missing here. To make it even stranger, Barracks moves on. Barracks actually manages to defeat Mini, which again makes the round of 4 that much more unusual, at least for what we've got so far. And look, I think Effort is somebody who can take on any Protoss. He's very, very tough to play against. This guy was top 4, top 5 in the world in one of the golden eras of StarCraft. That's when it was Bisu, Flash, Jaedong, and Effort on top of the world. And there's a real chance SnOw doesn't make it. But if SnOw does make it, I think he is pretty much guaranteed to get in the finals. I know that Barracks beat Mini 4-3, but look, the reality is SnOw is still the best Protoss versus Terran player in the world, and I don't think that has changed.
I definitely agree with your assessment there. If SnOw wins here tonight, he goes to the finals. If Effort wins, I think Effort Barracks is actually a really nice match. I think that'll be a really interesting, probably close match. But yeah, here we go. It's Effort versus SnOw. Hard to say who's going to take it.
네 번 연속 우승이란 대기로 세운 선수가 떨어졌어요. 두 번 스쳤는데 없어졌어. 이거 터졌다. 장윤철. 뭐 틈이 있었나? 장윤철을 꺾어낸다는 게 상당히 어려워 보였어요.
우승을 너무 많이 해가지고 끊어줄 때가 된 것 같습니다.
이상하게
병력이 끊이지 않습니다. 계속 병력이 모이지 않게 4번이나 연속해서 우승을 차지했었던 김민철 사냥에 성공을 합니다. 무대에서 그만큼 강하고 위기일 때 더욱더 강해지는 사냥꾼의 모습이죠.
우승을 못한 이유가 이제 저그 때문이거든요. 제가 다시 한 번 더 상기시켜주도록 하겠습니다. 도발했잖아. 이겨버려야지.
Hello and welcome to the second round of 8 match here at ASL Season 20, done in partnership with Google Play and Gravity. Yesterday we saw the opening match of the round of 8 go the distance as Barracks succeeded in moving on to the round of 4 for the very first time in his entire career. Today his opponent will be decided. Let's have a word with SnOw and Effort ahead of this second quarterfinals match and see what's on their minds. Hello. Hello. First up, we have SnOw, who makes the round of 8 for 4 seasons in a row. You said you wanted to meet Effort and use it as a training opportunity. And indeed, that match has come to fruition. How did preparation go? I always show up having been losing in practice. I lost a bunch before coming here today as well. I look at this routine as a good thing, rather. You said the same thing last time and had a good performance. I bet that's why you see this as a good thing. Let's talk to effort on the other side as well. As you watched the bracket draw on your stream, you were heard provocatively saying, SnOw, sorry, but there is no way you're beating a Zerg. Do you still have the same level of confidence now? I was trying to be funny, but it's a fact. Let's just have an entertaining match today. Got it. Now, SnOw, you said yourself that the one matchup you need to overcome if you want to raise the trophy is versus Zerg. For this PvZ against effort, what did you focus on in practice? He's a really good player, and we are teammates as well. What will be important is just for me to do well, not get put on the back foot by my opponent. If I play what I want to play, I see this as a winnable game. SnOw says what he plays himself will be important. Now, effort is somebody who has shown tremendous force in extended series on stage. Recently in the ASL, he has 9 wins and 2 losses in extended series. How would you rate an extended series against SnOw? Easy, mid, or difficult? If we just look at SnOw's win rate, then it's easy. But I struggle against Protoss nowadays. So let's say mid to difficult. Mid to difficult. Both of our players have been very provocative since the group selection ceremony. At that group selection ceremony, SnOw said to Sharp, who was sitting next to him, effort is irrelevant. Just pick him. And after the round of 8 bracket was drawn, whenever you two faced off against each other on stream, effort said he will make it so SnOw doesn't show his face in the ASL again. They went back and forth with their comments. Given this back and forth provocation, a fierce match should be on the cards. Any chance we could hear some more of this banter ahead of the game? So let's say he beats me and goes to the round of 4. He gets seeded. He's gonna start worrying about what it's like to be seeded. It's fine. I'll make sure he doesn't have to worry about all that. SnOw says he will make sure you don't have to worry about a thing. Effort, please respond. When I was on break, he was irrelevant anyways. Like things are any easier now that I'm back. I'll show you why he's considered irrelevant. Things are heating up here. Can't wait for today's match. I'm also curious about what score you're predicting. I'll win with a 4-1 or perhaps 4-2. SnOw predicts a 4-1 or a 4-2. I didn't even prepare for games 5, 6, 7. Oh? So 4-0? I see, that's an answer in itself. Let's close things out with our players' final remarks. Why would you play if you're going to lose anyway? I'll end this quickly. We'll all be back home in an hour or 2. What now? Final remarks, please. All right. Well, I hope I managed to show what I came prepared with. And you know, whatever comes, even if I lose, I'll have a teammate advancing. So I'll be happy, and I will cheer for him. A change of tone at the end there. We've just heard from SnOw and effort and their back and forth provocations. Thanks for the interview. ASL Season 20 done in partnership with Google Play and Gravity. Which of the two will survive and move on to the round of 4? It's time to start the first game of SnOw versus effort.
Let's get into this, man. I just hope we get something that's as close and as crazy as we had with Barracks versus Mini. That was such an epic match. But, you know, it's hard to get a game 7 out of a best of 7. You know, statistically, they almost always end before that.
That's for sure true. I am hoping that it is just close. I do want to see some big macro games. That's one thing we were definitely missing before. And both these guys definitely capable of that. I think SnOw definitely trends towards later game Protoss versus Zerg over everyone else because he plays kind of a grinding style. But Effort is overall very decisive. He's much more likely to just jump on the first weakness he sees and try to end the game. So, yeah, I feel like it could be like the longer games tend more towards SnOw and the faster games tend more towards Effort. So, if like here's my prediction basically is if SnOw wins, we're getting closer to 7 games, and if Effort wins the series, we're going to get closer to fewer games, right? Like 5 games, 6 games.
I think you could be right. SnOw is also not known for taking a lot of crazy risks in PvZ early on. He plays a very straightforward, extremely solid early game. Tends to not die to cheeses, and then basically just comes out with a push. He might be the best Protoss vs. Zerg pusher in the entire world right now.
I think you're right. Like he's extremely good at that. Exactly. It's funny watching them. All of the top Protoss players, like the top 5, the 4 that are in this round of 8, and then Rain, they all play really differently. I would say the closest to would be like Mini and Bisu based on Zealots, but it's really they're very different too. Like each of these guys have their own fingerprint in the matchup, and I gotta say the one that makes the most sense to me by far is SnOw's. The way he grinds people down with Psystorm and just like gains value over time. Like that's coming from my background, the way that I look at the game, I'm like, yes, if I was a Protoss player, that's the way I would attempt to play it.
Yeah, he just has a very clean way of analyzing the mid game. You know, first of all, staying safe and not dying to Hydra busts or weird Muta all-ins, or I mean, the whole myriad of crazy things that Zerg can do to kill you off early on. But then, you know, he basically surveys the situation, identifies what kind of push he needs and when it's going to come out, and usually does a solid job. I don't know in any of these games that we're going to see SnOw go into, by the way, super late game PvZ. I think there's a much higher chance it's either going to be a push that wins or loses.
Yeah. Well, you know, Effort, I've been watching and casting a lot of his games recently. He was in ASL, I think it was 2 seasons ago, and I actually called him back then. I was like, I think Effort might win this because he was looking that good. And I think he does look good enough overall. Like, he's kind of like back into his groove of his style, but I've also seen very good late games from him. So I feel like he's in the right type of shape where we might just get another win. And look, everyone counts the Advanced Star League at Soup as an ASL victory. You can see he's got 2 stars there. So, you know, you got to call him a 2-time champion. You know, winning the first like precursor to ASL against Bisu in that finals, and then he beat Flash in a finals. Like, I mean, the guy he's so good. It's just he doesn't stay as active as some of the other ones. Some of the other players as far as ASL goes. So I feel like some of the people watching, some of the newer fans might not quite realize how strong he is. But this is like a Jaedong type of guy.
100%. I think Effort is one of these players that has StarCraft Brood War in his blood. He seems to be extremely active. And I think he's got a real shot here, which would be, again, a kind of a crazy upset. I think no matter how you look at it, you kind of have to weigh SnOw as favored just based off his most recent results and how consistent he's been. He's been an anticipated ASL champion for like maybe the last 5 years. It hasn't happened yet, so that's been in over 10 ASLs. But look, he's gotten far in so many of them. Effort has been on and off the radar. Like you were saying, Tastosis, he doesn't seem to be, you know, play nonstop all the time. He does seem to take these breaks, but he seems to be in very good shape. His playstyle doesn't look old. He seems to have made a lot of really good adjustments. And this might be one of these scariest Zergs along with Soma when it comes to early game in ZVP.
Yeah.
Really, like, some of these guys will literally just, like, outmaneuver you with Lings alone and blindside you. Like, it can be really scary. So SnOw has to play a really solid mid-game. His scouting and his build orders have to be absolutely perfect. He has to know when he can cut corners and really when he needs to dial it in and defend. and I'm super eager to see what kind of playstyle Everett's going to bring here as we go into game after game here in this best of 7, which, by the way, is starting right now. Okay, cross spawns here. Top right is SnOw. In the orange, and the bottom left is Effort here in the blue.
Very exciting to see the island map first. This was SnOw's first pick, and no big surprise there. And like, you know, the island map, we were talking a lot about how this might be, like when it first came out, this might be like one of the ways to try to snipe Sulky. Historically, Zergs do poorly on island maps. It's not a full island map, though. It does seem as if Zerg is probably favored on this map against Terran, but we haven't seen that many Zerg versus Protoss games here yet. Although I do think it is Protoss favored in this matchup, especially with someone like SnOw. Like, Corsairs can just dominate the air, and then you get like Reavers with speed shuttles and things like that. And of course, you have that high ground natural and the very long rush distance. It's just like the odds of being able to Hydra bust here are very, very low.
You know, I haven't put a ton of thought into this matchup on this map specifically, but when I do think about it, I mean, 3 islands all collected in the bottom right. I think you're right. Corsairs are going to be extremely strong there. A natural on the high ground. And, you know, Protoss only need 2 bases early on, right? It's not like Zerg where they're pressured to get a 3rd or anything like that. So I think there's a lot of ways to play this. You know, Robotech, it's a little bit harder to just go right into Reavers versus Zerg, and it's actually not really used that much anymore. There were periods where people would throw it out. But we'll see if this game is one where SnOw will do it. You know, SnOw is known for having, by far, the best Reaver control for the history of the entire race. We're talking a quarter century of Protoss, and no one is even close. I mean, even Mini, who's, you know, one of the greatest players of all time, it's so different looking at his Reaver control and then what SnOw can do. But it's just harder to get Reavers out and make them useful, considering you need to get Storm out so quickly to be safe against so many other things.
Yeah, it really is impressive to see someone so synonymous with one unit. And we've had Reaver players in the past. You know, Into the Rainbow, very well known for his Reaver control back in the day. PJ was pretty well known for Reaver control back in the day. You know, there's been players that have really relied on the unit, but SnOw really is god tier with that. But either way, this is an overpool coming out from Effort. SnOw is trying to be as greedy as is humanly possible. We'll see if this is going to bite him in the butt or not. The rush distance is just really, really far on this map. And you can see he is kind of attacking there. That's like the poor man's hold position in the early game with the probes to make sure that they just do not move. And he even brings secondary probes up to block those positions as well. So very good defense there from SnOw. And just looking at the openings, it's a better opener for SnOw overall.
Yeah, I want to just nail down a point that you were making earlier, because I think a lot of people miss this. The probes are still attacking both the Forge and the Gateway. They'll never move if Lings attack them. You can't make a probe hold position because it doesn't have that button in the little dial at the bottom right when you click on it. Now, if you get a Zealot and you hit hold position with a Zealot and a probe in a control group, for whatever reason, that input will carry over to the probe. But that's why you'll see players attack their own structures. I actually get asked this a decent amount.
Yeah.
Whenever I stream, and so I didn't realize how many people might not notice this or might not realize, like, why that doesn't make any sense. It must be a mistake you're attacking your own building. But yeah, it's a great way to try to seal off your entrance. And SnOw's getting his cybernetics core over here, and this is going to be a Hydra bust, which feels weak.
Yeah.
One of the few moments you'll hear me say that, but considering that you're on the high ground, I mean, you should have much stronger cannons here. Now, sometimes there is this sort of counterintuitive concept in that because you're so unlikely to die to Hydra busts, they will under defend there. In other words, they'll have less cannons. So maybe this busts SnOw down, but you got to think this is looking really comfortable for SnOw right now.
Well, this is exactly why, or a big part of why at least, this is considered like really, really good for Protoss, is you have that high ground, so the Hydras have a hard time attacking, but because of that, you might be able to bust them because it's so bad. You know, like things like this are real in games like this where like you can call the bluff. It's like he's going to defend very lightly against Hydra Bust because it's not a likely strategy to use. It's very weak on the map. The rush distance is super long. And because of these things, you can just do the Hydra Bust anyways and have this be kind of a throwaway map where you're like, well, it's not supposed to work, but, you know, he might just have few enough cannons that I break through anyways.
Okay, so the Hydras are going to be coming up now. So far, SnOw is not in the know on this. We need to get a Corsair across the map. So this Corsair is going to scout. If you watch the path, it's going to try to move through where the Hydras would be. He might be tempted to curve down here, but he is going to see it. So this is not a lot of time. This is still a little bit scary. Notice that the cannons are actually far back. He cancels the second Stargate literally at the last possible second. And he's willing to ditch some of the entrance. By the way, immediate robo thrown down here.
Well, let's see if he could actually end up holding this. Another hatchery comes up from Effort. Effort's going to start to poke up here a little bit. And where he's firing from here is low ground, so he is going to be missing some shots. It's going to take him a lot longer, probably like 50% longer to actually break this wall down compared to when it normally would be. And SnOw, you know, only 4 cannons so far. Kind of interesting to see it like that. Like, you know, he's trying to not over-defend.
Yeah, he's trying to make do with very little here. He is remaking a pylon down here. I don't know, is that bottom cannon powered? I guess it is. Okay. Oh, but the one in the front is not. So he's barely got this all strung together with pylons in the right position. He does have the robo up. He did remake the forge. And by the way, there's not more Hydralisks being rallied across the map to meet up with this main army. So he kills off the entrance, and the game goes on. The robo has been spotted. The Overlord obviously is going to get killed off, but, you know, I guess the robo is somewhat predictable, right? We were kind of talking about this earlier. It's not easy to go robo, but if there was a map you'd go Stargate into robo, this would be it, right?
Once upon a time, there was a question of what Protosses would do. Would they go Corsair Reaver or would they go High Templar Tech? That was a question years and years and years and years and years ago. And eventually it got figured out that, like, no, Templar Tech is better. Except on certain maps, you can still go for Corsair Reaver. Occasionally we see it. It's a rare build to see, but this is a map where we've seen it before already. Also, I want to mention one thing. I think that Effort, I think looking at this game and knowing about Effort and the way that he plays generally, I think that Hydra rush was never intended to be any sort of all-in or even win the game. I actually think he utilized that to make sure it wouldn't be 2 Stargate Corsair. Like, he utilized that to be like, we're going to play a different type of game here. Because 2 Stargate Corsair on every map right now is trending way upwards. Everyone's gotten really good at it. It looks really strong at the moment. And if you do this build, you will force a cancel on the second Stargate instantly, like we saw from SnOw. So I actually think that this was the plan from Effort. He's like, I'm not going to lose any Overlords this game. Screw that. I'm going to pull a Hydra bust. It's not going to be real. And we're going to get into like a regular macro game.
I think that is some of the best PvZ analysis I've heard from you, Tastosis. I think you're probably right.
Do you think you could go
just
carriers?
Don't want double Stargate. No, that's not gonna happen.
No,
but
I wanted to ruin it, but thank you.
But you know what he will do is he's going to go into Mass Dragoons, I think. We don't have any Citadel out here. So it's going to be 6 Gateway Dragoons. So the idea is that he basically takes this island base. And by the way, I don't think Zerg can really try to punish the island base just yet. And he's going to go up to, actually 7 Gateway Dragoon. And maybe we'll see a Citadel added in later, and maybe a Templar Archives added in later. But you can do this Dragoon push with this. Corsair, Dragoon, Reaver push is extremely strong. And we'll see, right? Like, it's one of these moments where, like, God, I feel like I used to see this more often and certainly do it more often in my own play, and it's sort of gone away.
Yeah.
you know, oh god, that's pretty unfortunate. It looks like he has
Wow,
a
terrible
bit of a log
pathing.
jam there, trying to get his units out of there. But you know, the Dragoon Reaver push can be pretty hard to stop, especially once you have Corsairs in there, because the Dragoon Reaver Corsair combination, it kind of beats everything the same way that like Dragoon Archon Templar does, with a couple of Zealots in the front. And this map is pretty linear. Like, you don't have a whole lot of ways to counterattack them. In fact, you only have one giant bridge. By the way, I love the burrows on the map here. Anytime you see Robo, you should get burrow. They're probably not going to have observers with their army as quickly. Look at this. There's actually Hydras ready to unburrow over here. Oh my god, he's so good. I think this attack's going to get wrecked. Here we go. He's going to pop out. He's going to go for the shuttle, and he actually doesn't quite get it. And I think that, yeah, surprisingly, SnOw could win that fight. I think he wanted to be a little bit more patient there. And he's going to go for it, but this is going to be two different angles he's trying to make this work from.
He snipes the shuttle really, really quickly and will end up getting one of the Reavers. The other Reaver kept alive on like 4 health here. It is a very small Protoss army, but with the Reaver there, definitely difficult to engage. And this is the perfect type of area for SnOw to take this fight, like right in this little choke. He's got that great range on those Dragoons as well. Little flank of Hydras coming around to pick off that Reaver. He does end up getting that. So I think that this army will end up falling. It seems like overall a pretty good defense, but SnOw's control there was very good as well.
Yeah, we needed to see more shuttles and more Reavers come with that. This is a 3-base mass Dragoon shuttle Reaver push. And, you know, Dragoons are, if you just get enough of them, they can beat Hydras. It is actually a microable situation, too, where you can kind of micro your Dragoons back, and they're a little bit more hard-pressed to try to get in range of you. But I didn't see another shuttle and Reaver come up, and I definitely don't see an observer here in this mix. And, you know, Zerg's already on 4 bases. I don't think that he's going to be able to get across the map. He adds a second Robo. I don't know, man. It feels a little bit off here for SnOw. It felt like we had Robotech, and then we didn't have anything. And Mass Dragoons is just never going to cut it.
No, I would definitely agree with that assessment. Like, he might just need to play a really long game here. Like, get into Psystorm, build more Corsairs, control the islands, you know? Play to some of the map's strengths.
Sure.
Because, like, as far as ground army goes, it feels like Effort's in good enough shape here. And in fact, he's getting ready. Like, he had moved those overlords through the top of the map at the beginning of that push, so they've just been sitting there waiting. And now he's bringing up his army. It looks like he's going to do a massive drop in that main base. And that's actually going to be really hard for SnOw to get back and defend, because he's Dragoon Man right now. Like, he's going to be going single file around these gateways. The building placement's not superb for stopping a mass drop. This is a little bit scary.
Didn't even occur to me to drop the main here. I kind of imagined this being a game where you'd be dropping the islands, but coming up over here, I mean, this is so annoying. The Nexus and the Forge are here as well. He's got a shuttle and a Reaver. He has shuttle speed too, so he can definitely get more value by microing this. But yeah, man, I mean, I see one observer coming up. Remember that, you know, as long as the observers are sniped, you can't make any progress here against something like a lurker. But this is held. It wasn't like a ton of probes were killed off here. But man, you really begin to appreciate how much Zerg can drop before Protoss can ever do a full-on push across the map. We were talking about how rush distances are really bad for Zerg early on. They're also pretty bad for pushes later on against Zerg.
Well, I'm looking at this, and like, this is a very aggressive stance on 4 bases from Effort. I think if SnOw just turtles pretty heavily here, like, I really think he does need to get into Psystorm as well. But like, he needs to just stop drops from doing anything to him anymore. Now look at this. Scourge come over, clear some of the Corsairs. He's very low on Corsairs. And now his army is so out of position. He was walking towards the bridge with a huge amount of his Dragoons. And Effort's dropping the main and dropping his 3rd base on the island.
Keep in mind that if you get, big drop over here on the island, I think SnOw's starting to fall apart. And remember, if they can actually go for mutas if you don't have any more Corsairs. Dragoons alone are not great versus Mutalisks, especially if it's Mutalisks with anything else, like Lings and Hydras on the ground. Because, you know, normally when you have at least a ton of Dragoons in the game, oh my god, this hit on the probes is massive. if you have a ton of Dragoons on the ground, the thing is you normally still have Storm, right? So you can fight Mutalisks and Hydras that way. When you just have Dragoons and your Shuttle and Reaver have been sniped, the same way that Templars get sniped in PvZ, that's a problem.
Ooh, that shuttle is very low, but he brings it back, drops out those 2 Reavers. This push is incredibly important because SnOw's losing everything. There's drops all over the place. His 3rd base is dead. He's playing against a 4-base effort with a huge amount of hatcheries. He's got like 8 hatches right now, so very hard to break through here. Effort's supply almost as high as SnOw's, and this looks like Effort's taking this game to me.
Yeah, the Hydras are just going to bum rush the Reavers, and the Shuttle doesn't even juggle them up. And all he has to do is take out one of the key parts of this army every time. Another Lurker drop's going to come in here. So many probes are down here right now. And it does feel like the Achilles heel for Protoss this game was just not having enough observers. I almost wish we could look in the replay, because it does seem like he just stopped making Robo anything after the 2nd Reaver was out. There wasn't an observer there with the push. There wasn't a 2nd Shuttle or a 2nd Reaver that fast. And, you know, when you go Mass Dragoon Reaver, you really need to end the game with a push. I know PvZ's always sort of like that, but it's even more like that when you go for Dragoon Reaver. You really need to basically break them to get this death ball and kind of just have enough damage they can't really do that much. There's one more observer, and that means there's probably one more chance to try to push this. There's so many Lurkers up here. Oh my god, he's going to try to run back, and the Scourge just take out the Observer again, and there's nothing you can do.
I love that he's bringing up like 4 Scourge per Observer, because it's like if you just kill the Observers, he can't push you anymore, and you're buying a huge amount of time. And he's still doing little drops and being very annoying. I think what Effort has done here, and what he does in general that makes him so strong, is he's taken SnOw completely out of what SnOw's initial game plan was. We're not 100% sure what it was, but it had to do with 2 Stargate Corsair. And without those additional Corsairs, he's hit all these drops because SnOw went into heavy units to try to counteract the heavy Hydras. And, like, so now he doesn't have the Corsairs to clean up the Overlords. He can't control the islands. In fact, Effort's taking an island. And, like, look at this. It might be cost inefficient for Effort, but his economy is so much better.
Yeah, he realizes these Dragoons can't really leave comfortably. There is an Observer here, so Protoss can fight, but this is going to be a lot of damage suffered here. Now, if you hemorrhage too many Lurkers and Hydras, maybe there is a counterpunch that comes in here. I mean, let's see if he can move down now. That could have been the overextension that might cost Effort the game. He'd have to have a perfect push from here on out, though.
Well, he's trying to push in here, loses a lot more Dragoons right there, dropping out these Reavers, trying to get some value out of them. There's not that much defense left here. Maybe there's still a way. Like, his Reavers are dealing a lot of damage, and look, Effort's running out of minerals at some of these bases. Like, this base is already mined out.
Yeah, he's continuing to chase us up here. Oh, okay, you know, this is something, man. This is actually something. Hold up a second here. We need to have some more reinforcements come in. Gosh, it's not very much. It's like 4 or 5 units coming in here. But as long as there's Reavers, you know, Hydra Lurker isn't as good of a comp for fighting as Reaver Dragoon Shuttle is. But again, if he snipes the Reavers, it becomes a lot simpler of a game, right?
Absolutely. Not really mining that much, though, we see here for SnOw. The Lurker drops have been pretty much non-stop. The supply for both players is really, really plummeted. And, you know, it's like they're in a hard place as far as getting additional mining resources up. Like, SnOw has very few probes. You can see his main base has, like, nothing in it, basically, as far as mining going. His natural is getting low, and he's lost probes there. He's had nothing at that 3rd base for a while. Effort trying to saturate the top left island, but, of course, as a Zerg player, that's going to be a little bit difficult pre-Hive. I mean, it is a crazy game right now.
Effort's done such a good job with the drops. Like, even now, there's a Lurker just attacking the Assimilator. It's so annoying. And the probe count is so painfully low here. Even taking the island. You know, it didn't occur to me, but I guess Zerg will mine out the mainland part here pretty quickly. He's going to target down this probe if he can. I don't think there were Scarabs in there, actually.
Oh my god. Oh, and he gets the Observer too. Effort is so good at this. Getting like those little volleys that are getting so many kills. SnOw's economy is so trash, man. Like, he cannot afford he cannot afford anything that he's doing. Like, he can't make out of very many gateways. He can't be producing Reavers nonstop and making Scarabs and making probes. It's just, Effort's done a great job this game.
I think he's got less than 30 probes this game. So he's going to drop up here. This is the right idea. Of course, I totally forgot he has Bro. That's so funny. But this can at least reclaim the island. The Scourge are going to end up killing this. Oh, what? He's going to go out? Oh, no. I don't know how exactly you control it. Do you have to right-click through and then A-click on it? Is that the trick?
You have to click ahead of it. If you tell the Scourge to attack the shuttle, they'll actually, like, I think, basically never hit it. And there's a lot of
like drag
things.
Behind it.
Yeah, their speed is just enough that, like, you can overtake it over time. But you have to, like, click beyond it. Okay, Muta's
so
out
I was
now?
mentioning this much earlier.
This?
Yeah, because, well, you can get Mutas the same way and just snipe them like they're Templars. It's kind of the same idea. It's a little bit harder because there's a shuttle, but, you know, look at this. He just runs up here. Yeah, just like this. I think this will probably prompt SnOw to GG. There it is.
Man.
Nicely done. We saw Effort do a fist pump into a scratch of the head. Not celebrating just yet, but knowing he's one step closer to taking this.
Well, that was an important map. That's a map that Zerg is not really supposed to beat Protoss on. That's like the most Protoss map we've seen in a long time. But he dismantled SnOw. He had the right plans. He took SnOw out of what SnOw wanted to do. This is the masterful play of Effort. Like, he does this to Flash as well. Like, the guy is just so strong. And I think SnOw might be looking at this and saying, oh my God, is it not just, you know, Hero and Sulky who are going to eliminate me? Is it going to be Effort as well? Can I just not beat this wall of great Zerg players?
Possible, man. Doing a quick highlight moment here. This was maybe the one moment it looked like it could swing into his favor. There were really about 20 different drops that Effort did that caused really big damage. I think the main push needed to be executed a little bit better. You should probably have the second Robo out earlier and Observers just on non-stop rally here, like Hotkey or Robo, and just have that endlessly making obses. And I don't know if he got Observer vision range, but I think you probably need that if you're going to play for this. It did seem like he had neither Observer speed or Observer vision range, and I actually think versus Zerg, vision range is a little bit better.
Yeah.
Because you can really stay out of the way.
Yeah. 100%
Observers
agree with
really
that.
are like the worst unit. They're the worst unit in the game, truly. They're just terrible. They're like an F or D rank or E rank unit, however you want to put it. Die immediately, pivotal to fights, can't move fast, can't see far. Yes, they detect, but that's just about all they do. We're going to go to a break, guys. Coming up next, it's going to be game 2 right now. Effort in a 1-0 lead versus SnOw here in this best of 7. And I think that break's coming.
Yeah. We'll be right back, guys, for game
number 2. We'll be right
2.
back, guys. We're going to go. We'll see you in a sec.
For esports pros, awareness is essential. That's why the Black Shark V3 Pro is tuned in to what matters most. A quantum leap in speed for instant audio response. Full range clarity that carries every shot call. Advanced ANC to eliminate all distractions. And crisp, clean sound that captures key audio cues. Made for the best. Made for who you can be.
그빌 플레이와 그래비티가 함께하는 ASL 시즌20 8강 두 번째
All right,
경기에
welcome back.
함께하겠습니다.
It is time to get into game number 2. We're going to be going to Metropolis
이어지는
between
이 세트 경기를
Effort
만나보기 전에
and
여러분을 위해서
SnOw.
이벤트
This is actually
안내해드리겠습니다.
Effort's first
먼저
map
현장을
pick, and I'm
찾아주시는
not
여러분을 위해
100%
진행되는
sure
이벤트가 진행 중입니다.
why that would
멋진
be.
취업으로
Like the
열렬히
games that I've seen
선수들을
personally
응원해주시면 중계진이 직접
on this map, I
선정해서
feel like I always see
다섯
Zerg
분에게
end up going
레이저
Mutalisks here
바라크다 크로노
and
화이트
sniping High
헤드셋을
Templar as
선물로
well,
드리고
but
있습니다.
nothing about the map
현장에서
makes me
선수들을
think
향한
that that
뜨거운
would
응원
be
많이 보내주시길
why the map
바라겠습니다.
is chosen. I don't know if you have any insight on
이어서
that,
온라인으로
Tasteless.
시청해주시는 여러분을 위한
I'm not sure either.
이벤트 역시
I think we're going to know pretty fast when the
오늘
game starts
경기에서
out.
승리하며 4강에 진출한 선수를 모두
But look, Effort
맞춰주시면
playing
되는데요.
a very,
역시
very
추첨을
solid
통해
game. And
내보내게는
frankly, we don't have
ASL
games like that in
두
StarCraft
번째는
1
레이저
anymore.
바라크다 크로노 화이트
Obviously, we don't have
헤드셋을
island
드리고
maps
있습니다.
of that
많은
same.
참여 부탁드리겠습니다.
Well, we've never really had island maps quite like that, right? But island maps playing a role in the periphery. Top left, bottom right. And then also, you know, his usage of drops, we just don't have games like that anymore. You know, it's much, much, much less common for Zerg to go for that style of play, but he played a very different looking game. Obviously, SnOw was forced to go for the Reavers, both to protect the islands and expand to the islands, and then also to push. But I don't think that game can represent what the rest of the games are going to look like. So I think game 2 is going to be a much better test for kind of where SnOw is versus Effort in the matchup in a more common a game of ZVP.
Well, I am interested to see what Effort's plans might be here. I love how he dictated control of that last game, forced him out of the Corsairs, went into drops later on for the kill moves. Very expertly done there by Effort. I hope that SnOw can kind of stabilize in this game. If SnOw loses this game, I'm going to feel like he's in a terrible spot because he loses to Zerg most of the time. And people might not remember this, but like it took him several seasons of ASL to win his first game against Zerg. Like he had never won a game against Zerg in the old Kespa days either. So like Zerg has always been his weakest matchup, but he is great at the matchup now. But I still feel like this is the thorn in his side. If it was only Terran players, he'd win every ASL.
Oh yeah, PvT and PvZ are very, very different skill sets. You have to really have a totally different approach to the two matchups. We're going to go into game 2 now in SnOw versus Effort and see if Effort will keep the lead or if SnOw evens it out. Okay, SnOw in the top right and Effort in the bottom right. I want to see if SnOw is going to go for Forge or Gateway Expand here. This is a map you can be a little bit cheesy with cannons. And, you know, we do see the rotation of Forge being popular first and then Gateway. One thing I'm pretty confident about is we are not going to have any kind of one-base play.
Yeah.
Probably no gateways in the center of the map. If we have it, I'm totally down to cast it. But SnOw seems the least inclined out of all the players in PvZ for ASL to go down that route.
Honestly, I think it's really only Mini that will regularly do anything like that. It's pretty, like I'm trying to think of games I've seen Best or Bisu or SnOw go for things like center gate or one-base tech builds. And it really is kind of a Mini special with him out of the tournament. Yeah, I would agree. It's not too likely to see any of that.
So for now, it's going to be what looks to be Gateway Expand, unless the build orders are really changing. And actually, hold on a second. Is he going to even macro up further? And maybe just go for Blind Nexus first? Because we're already passing 150 minerals. So this is going to be Nexus first Blind. This is so funny. Who was it that did this earlier this season? Was it Bisu? Or was it Mini?
I honestly don't remember. I think it was Bisu, because I don't remember Mini PvZs very clearly. But yeah, Bisu played quite a few.
So this is crazy to me because, you know, there's so many things Zerg can do early on, including like 4-pool, and maybe that just kills you and you just don't worry about that because they're not as likely to do that. But it's going to be Nexus on 11 into Forge on 11. Wow.
That's actually the original like blind Nexus from Remaster that we saw, where Rain was doing
back
that in
day.
KSL. I remember you calling out and be like, "Look at this! This is kind of fresh." But we've seen some other blind Nexus first variants with like 12 probes. But yeah, this 11 one is exactly. I remember very clearly watching Rain go 11 Nexus, 11 Forge. So we'll see if this works out well. Like, it's been scouted. It is an overpool. But how many lings did he make? Oh, I think he did make 6 lings, but it's overpool, right? So like they don't all pop at exactly the same time.
He's only going to see the first 2. I think it's actually only 4 total. Getting 6 is probably a little bit excessive.
Oh,
but hold on a second. These lings are going to get here before this is done. Dude. Oh, this is a little
Just
scary.
barely.
Okay.
Woo.
Talk about narrowly holding that off. Oh, my God. So when you go for a Nexus like this, you get to skip the first pylon. Or the second pylon, I mean. I think you guys get what I'm saying. Oh, my God, he does it. Oh!
What a killer. That was so good. That was so good from SnOw. Oh, my God.
Perfect.
I thought he was going to get 2 of them past. I was pretty sure. I'm like, ooh,
Yeah,
this might
same.
be bad.
No, I was about to be very sad for SnOw and be like, okay, well, you've got, a couple more games to try. We'll go to the next one. Great catch. And, of course, that forces more lings, because right now this probe is scouting completely for free. And SnOw has really been able to develop unimpeded. So he's done a very greedy build. It's gone completely unpunished. In fact, because it was so close, Zerg thought, that he might have an opportunity, actually, to go in. And with perfect control, SnOw shuts it down. This means the Zealot's going to be running free on the map. He can try to squeeze that in between some minerals somewhere, use that to confirm if there's a Hydra bust or something like that.
Now, what do you think his effort's going to do next here? Does he go into a Hydra bust, or does he go into layer? Like, which one feels stronger from, like, kind of a semi-failed Zergling rush?
Excuse me. Well, nothing feels strong from a semi-failed Zergling rush. I don't know if there's one is preferable to the other. It's funny. It's like you don't want to lose the first of anything you make early on at pro level, because obviously you're just going to be in such a worse spot. Like, these Zealots are doing way more damage than they should be, right? There were supposed to be 6 lings ready to catch this right away. Instead, drones are hatching and they can't even mine. And if lings come down there, there's going to be another Zealot to run in here to the other side. He's going to come in with the probe here, too. And this is going to be a little scary. Can he actually wedge it between the minerals? It looks like he wants to go for a dive and try to get kills there instead. And he's going to get 2, so that's huge. And a probe scout into the main.
Wow.
Damn.
I'm really surprised he did that well. That was some flubbing there from effort. It's not very common that you see him lose a couple drones like that. It looked like he had pulled the second one away especially, and then it still got sniped. So, yeah, definitely some mistakes going on effort's side. He has Zergling speed now coming up, and yeah, this looks like a pretty damn tight wall. You're not going to be able to break through there.
Okay, so we've got some drones that were killed off. Oh, whoa. He's going to go for Hydra Den. Off of layer. That's very unusual. That's just... People don't really do this anymore. Okay, so let's see what kind of game it's going to be from that. This is not going to be any kind... It certainly can't be a Hydra bust, right? It's too late to do that. But he's basically just going to layer up, get Hydras, and turtle it out. I guess realizing there's no way to really attack in here. He knows that there's a pretty strong engine, macro-wise, behind SnOw's play. So what he needs to do is probably go up and turtle this out as best he can and get ready for DTs and... any kind of Zealot run-bys that might try to come through here. He skipped Spire entirely, which is what I found most interesting. Getting a Den isn't crazy, but a Den with no Spire is kind of a funny-looking thing, especially with a layer. He might be going for Overlord speed here as well pretty early.
Well, you know... Oh, sorry. Go ahead. I was going to say what I was thinking for this was because we've seen so much 2 Stargate Corsair, maybe that factors into why he's chosen to do this, whether he's looking for... because he's already behind, right? Like, everything has gone SnOw's way. He blocked the Zerglings with a Nexus first, and then You know, he killed 2 drones with his first Zealot, so like he's definitely well ahead. So maybe you're doing this hoping he goes like double Stargate Corsair. Maybe you can do a pre-storm bust timing, that type of thing. Like, you know, just take a big risk to try to pick up a win where you shouldn't.
I mean, possibly. I think you have to kind of just recalibrate for rough openings here. 2 things went wrong, right? Actually, 3. First of all, it's unfortunate that he scouted a really greedy build and it got off. Then he thought he had a punish, so he sent Lings in, and that backfired. And then the Zealot counterattack killed a couple drones. And that all might seem pretty small and minimal, but when you have players this good, it's actually a pretty big deal. So he wants to just have this Hydra ball that can basically fight and probably have Overlord speed so that he could push with that as well. And maybe he wants to, if he can hold off attacks here early on, try to come out on the map and fight with maybe even like a Lurker Contain after this.
Well, these 2 Zealots actually running amok in his base. Really, really annoying. He's trying to target them down the Corsairs, which means the Zealots actually still have very high health and will buy some extra time here for SnOw while he pulls the rest of his Zealots back to his base. Still looking pretty darn good here for SnOw. Definitely feels like he's in control of this game, and now he's going to have a DT on the map, too, that Effort's going to have to worry about.
Yeah, Protoss has been very freed up. We have the Robo Bay down here. This is going to be for the observers. This isn't for any kind of Reaver play like the last game. And Effort's basically turtling. He's in no position to try anything other than defend. And, you know, I got to say, SnOw was pretty sharp. He really thoroughly checked that there was no Spire and ditched Corsairs after 2. I'd be curious how Bisu would have played this. You know, he's much more inclined to just make Corsairs because he wants to kill Overlords, where it feels like SnOw and pretty much all the other Protosses and ASL make Corsairs because they're afraid of Mutalisks. So that means it's going to be more gas to go into upgrades, to get Templars and Dragoons and Observers out here for that eventual push. And the 6th hatchery, by the way, is placed at the 3rd base. And look at this. SnOw's playing a perfect game here. He's going to have a DT down here in the bottom left, just controlling the spot.
And now
right now,
oh my
Zerg
God.
has got to feel very squeezed.
Yeah, look at the Zealots come in as drones are popping here. So he's actually going to pick up some nice kills. Another Zealot attack up towards the front. Effort is just like perpetually on his back foot here. It really feels like nothing is going his way in this game.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a pretty rough game here. We've got Dragoon range being upgraded with the Observer tech coming up here. And SnOw knows, you know, this is a very simple map. Zerg only wants to expand into the bottom left, and he's leaving enough stuff to interfere with that it's going to be hard to get a whole lot done. So he's hiding Zealots up here. The mains are massive, so he can run the Zealots away and maybe even have the DT come in to try to intercept that drone.
Well, the Hydras are having to chase those Zealots all over the place. It seems like the DT is just going to be hidden for now and maybe utilized a little bit later, whether that's to try to kill the hatch or get some drones. SnOw's starting to move out with his Zealot, Dragoon, High Templar army. Looks like he's going to be taking his 3rd base. And, you know, I think that
yes.
3rd base is not too hard to hold on Metropolis for Protoss. Like, you have, like, a really good couple places to stand, one on a high ground and one down a pretty long chokeway. So, definitely feels like he can get that economy up and going without any danger really coming in from Effort. So, the game, it could slow down a little bit here. And Effort continues to make more drones. Like, his drone count is really, really high.
Yeah, he's got a crazy amount. Although that might change with his DT here. It's somehow getting ignored. There's just this one blind spot. He actually has Overlords that can see this, but he's not getting the alert that your forces are under attack because one-hit kills don't alert the other player. So, I mean, this is 15 kills, mostly drones, and he's going to get away. He can hide this and do damage somewhere else on the map. And he actually can run up into this main. Is there an Overlord here? I don't think there is. Are you kidding me?
Oh, man.
What? How did this even happen?
This is a disaster for Effort. Just an absolute disaster. I can't believe how many drones he's gotten with this DT. And the funny thing is, we still have a lot of drones for Effort. It's just he's spent so much money on drones, his army isn't all that big. The attack from SnOw,
right.
Look at this. SnOw is up over 60 supply right now. That's absurd.
Yeah, this is wild. He's got these Dragoons that are going to come out here. Sometimes when they turtle up this much, what you do is just try to hit their infrastructure on the outside, but I can see a world where SnOw might just be able to break the Zerg down here. You know.
Well, if you can't break
storm.
him up 60 supply after a start like this, like, come on.
Yeah.
You really should be able to.
This map, it's kind of hard to push into because it's such a narrow area. It's hard to really take advantage of a fight because, you know, lurkers and sunken colonies have better surface area.
Yeah.
Funnily enough, these lurkers are going to end up getting pinned over here. Keep in mind, those could be used to defend the third base, so I don't know what's actually over there right now.
Well, I mean, that's a pretty good defense up there, up the high ground. It's really hard to get up small ramps against just clogged things like this. You know, he'll probably blanket it with Psy Storm and try to kill off the lurkers and things like that, but it gets really cost inefficient and takes a lot of time to break those types of spots. So Effort is just like mega turtling here on 4 base, which this was actually a really popular style. You know, back in like 2018 or so, we saw like Larva and Sulky, for instance, always played ZVP like this. So it's interesting to see Effort pull that out. This guy really is a jack of all trades in this matchup.
I love the Zealots on the map to basically force burrowing. He's going to have enough Dragoons. I mean, basically, Effort's trying to sandbag the entry point by just getting eggs up here. But, you know, the Hydras are disappearing pretty quickly. And as long as he gets up here, you know, Dragoons kill eggs pretty quickly. So I think he can just basically break this. There is a Nidus network that's coming here, so SnOw needs to move really quickly. He cannot waste any time. In fact, the Nidus is about to finish. He's going to have to dive on it, and he denies it just barely.
Wow, a lot of units were ready to come through there, too, to try to help defend. So Effort's going to end up losing this base. That's going to bring him down to 3 on Hive Tech, and SnOw is actually taking his own 4th base right now. So SnOw continues to have a completely dominating position, but don't underestimate Hive Zerg. There might still be a small chance here that Effort can grind his way back. I know that he's very good with Defilers. We don't see him get there as often because he's so strong in the early game and finishes a lot of games, but you give this man a Defiler, and he is going to be able to gain a lot of value out of it.
This 4th base is really important as well. If Protoss gets the 4th base, that's a lot of times a death sentence for the Zerg here, especially if they don't have a 4th base of their own. Just getting this natural is massive. Now, the Lurkers and the Lings are going to run up here. They might kill the cannons, but, you know, I don't know that they're going to kill this Nexus. And, frankly, if you can just keep the Nexus there and remake the cannons, I think you're going to be fine. I don't think there's a place where Protoss has to be attacking across the map right now. You just have to defend stuff.
It looks like the Crackling upgrade just finished right at the end of that as the last Zerglings were dying. And, you know, a very, very important upgrade, one of the best upgrades in the game. And, you know, he's trying to get into, like, this really strong composition, Zergling plus Lurker. You know, that's kind of the ultimate composition in this matchup. It's just so, so strong. And the Cracklings are going to do a pretty good job, but SnOw's overall army is just hard to engage. He's maxed out. He's got twice the supply here of Effort.
So Effort managed to sneak another Nidus over here. And he's... Oh, okay. I was about to say, he has not unloaded it just yet. But is the trickle of Protoss units enough? Yeah, he just targets it down. I don't know if Effort wants to be in this much longer, man. Yeah, GG. This is just... You know... We were talking about this a little bit in RSL because they've started to make maps like this map where you just don't have as many bases. Basically, StarCraft 2 is starting to experiment with this. And it's a lot of the same ideas. The game gets driven to a conclusion a lot faster because it becomes very obvious who has what and where the game can go. And, you know, so many small mistakes at the start led to a really smooth game in the mid-game for SnOw. He had a push. He knew how to split his Zealots and DTs perfectly on the map. I love this sign. This is hilarious. And he basically stopped Zerg from ever getting big enough to where they could do anything. He never even really won with a push. He just sort of kept Zerg on 3 bases, and that was that.
You know, the craziest thing about that to me is I'm looking at it, and there's like multiple times where even though SnOw was super far ahead, if it had gone slightly better for Effort, he might have been able to turn this game around. Like, for instance, you know, if that Nidus had finished a bit quicker in the bottom left, or if he had noticed the Dark Templar that got 16 drone kills a bit quicker, right? If these things had changed a little bit, like, maybe effort actually comes back in that game. SnOw looked magnificent, but I'm actually even more scared of effort after that loss than I am after his win.
Yeah, he looked really strong. We're going to go to Dominator here for map number 3. SnOw with a great opening. About as good of an opening as you could ask for here. Really able to strangle effort out of development and kind of end the game before Zerg could ever get too big to fail. The question is, how is the opening going to go this time around? SnOw, by the way, taking some risks. Does effort want to dial it up? Does he want to go for 9-pool speedling? That will beat a lot of these risky builds. We'll find out in a second. Guys, if you've been enjoying this, consider signing up for our Patreon, patreon.com/ASL English. Join the cause. Do the right thing. We would love to have your support. If you can't afford to pay for the Patreon, you could always follow. You can get updates on when the VODs are dropped. I'm usually pretty good about posting, like, right when it gets up.
Yeah.
They get me right about in the afternoon when I'm having lunch, depending on how fast they are at Soup. But yeah, please sign up if you would.
And if anyone's wondering about who is so brilliant to title the Tastosis Secret Podcast episodes the way that they are titled on there, that's me, guys. I've got that great creativity of telling you both what season it is and what episode number. So definitely check it out.
And, you know, if you're wondering who types in "this round is up," enjoy tab link. That's your boy Tasteless. Adding his own little flavor in there. But yeah, guys, we would love it if you signed up. I'm trying to not do these plugs right at the start of game 1. I was thinking about it. I'm like, this probably gets pretty old. We try to mention it twice at a show. But anyways, yeah.
I'm sure there'll be a lot of
Appreciate
comments
you.
about... I love how Tasteless waited till game 3 for that plug. It was really refreshing.
Yeah, I'm ready. I'm ready for those messages, no doubt. I'm ready for those appreciation threads on Reddit, no doubt. So this game, dude, he's doing it again. So remember in the game versus Mini, we saw Barracks just go for the double racks at the very end. And it's like, what an ending. And what a statement, by the way, on these scumbag Protosses going for Nexus first. And like kind of a reminder, like, yeah, you can just get a free win. You can get an ASL free win doing that.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if it's going to happen here, but the more I'm seeing SnOw do this, the more I'm like, okay, you should actually just go for 9-pool speedling. You know,
He
you
might
will
eventually
just win the game.
Yeah, he might. It is definitely a possibility. But SnOw might be baiting that as well. He might actually have a plan like do it twice, then don't do it anymore, and then maybe you get like a really easy victory later on. There's so many mind games involved. You know, that's just I love that about StarCraft. Like, for instance, you know, you mentioned yesterday with the double proxy barracks in the free victory there. You know, I don't know. It's just there's something about trying to win just through a plan. It's like you make this plan and you're like, I think I know what they're gonna do. I'm gonna take this risk where I lose if I'm wrong, but I win if I'm right. And it's just like, oh my God, what a decisive moment when you're playing in the hardest tournament in the world with the highest stakes on the line.
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy, but, you know, that's one of the fun things about StarCraft is the fog of war. You know, they actually interviewed Mike Morheim a long time ago and asked him what his best... Mike Morheim, of course, made all the old classic Blizzard games. And they asked him what he was most proud of, and he said fog of war.
Wow.
Because that really did change everything
Yeah.
about how games like this were played. If you go back and play the old Command & Conquer, you would like scout them and then just stare at their base and look at what they're doing forever. But yeah, having that fog of war really changed stuff, and you know, forcing people to scout, and then the whole fact that, I mean, we never knew it would be this complex, but like, yeah, man, when do you scout? If you scout really early, you're not going to be mining. Like, there's a reason why you don't scout with one of the first 4 workers.
Yeah.
But, you know, there's these games where they're like not scouting at all. And, you know, that can make you pretty strong economically, but what if you are in a position that you're not aware of until it's too late?
Yeah.
So there's all sorts of crazy situations that you can only really see in StarCraft, you know?
The game is, it still shocks me. This is the greatest example that we are living in a simulation, is that StarCraft 1 is this good, because it shouldn't be. There's just no reason why the game shouldn't be broken yet, you know? It's just like, wait, the skill ceiling is so infinite in every direction that all the matchups still work? After 27 years of people trying their best to break everything, it still works and it's still balanced?
Yeah.
Like, what?
And for high prize pools, right? It's not just like the game's popular. It's like, oh no, people are making a lot of money off of this. So there's like a high incentive for these strategic geniuses to really kind of break the game. And it hasn't really happened yet. I mean, we definitely have trends in the meta where things look really strong, but people find their way out. So cool.
It's very true. It's very true. I mean, we see that all the time. You know, it was like, what, a couple years ago, it really felt like 3-Hatch Hydra was a bit too strong in this matchup, and now it's like, you don't see it as much now. You know, for the last year or so, Terran versus Zerg win rates against, you know, have been going down, but someone's going to figure something out and it's going to rebound. We've seen it time and time again.
Okay, the Spire is going to be thrown down here. This game looking much more in the realm of standard. Of course, you know, SnOw did do a slightly greedier build. By the way, early on, we saw Effort make his second base where his third base normally is. That's because you can cannon rush on this map. This isn't the strongest cannon rush map, but I guess why bother even risking it if you can just avoid it? And he's going to see all the eggs. It looks like there should be mutas hatching. Yeah, good call for SnOw to turn this around. Had he gone just a little bit further south, he could lose this. In fact, he could still take some damage on this Corsair if he doesn't get back perfectly to safety.
I think he has exactly enough that he's going to end up holding this okay. The mutas are making a beeline towards that main base, but he's already got one photon cannon, another one coming up, and a secondary...
And a second Stargate.
A second Stargate. So 2 Stargate Corsair, which has been so popular lately. And look at that, the flick shots that we're seeing. I think that's part of why 2 Stargate Corsair is getting so popular.
Oh my god, the control's really good. The Corsairs are stuck on the outside. He's got to loop them around. Perfect.
Dude, did you see him duck underneath the Scourge with the Corsair there? That was insane. He turned into the Scourge
Corsair,
and it lived.
It Matrix dodged it. It was wild.
We got Maverick over here. Oh my god. You kidding me?
His control with the Corsairs is perfect. This is insane. I mean, Effort's actually bled off a lot. You really can't afford to lose too much here. I mean, especially versus double Stargate, because they're going to have the counter to what you have. Oh my god, there's a bad rally. Either that or he's doing this on purpose to scout. I don't know. Do you really want to suicide a Corsair here?
You know
I guess
what?
He knows better than me. Maybe you do want to just run through here. Yeah.
He's got 2 Stargates.
You see one drone mining.
It kind of makes sense. He's like checking. He's like, oh god, you really don't have anything. It almost feels like it's a Mutalisk all in. Like, Effort's been going so hard on this, but now SnOw is sitting there on 2 Stargates plus 1 attack. That Corsair is still technically alive. We'll see if it can get back home. But this is looking really good for SnOw now.
I mean, SnOw is going to make Effort look obsolete really soon here. I didn't see if he got +1 air weapons. Oh, no, he did. So he has oh, God. So he's got +1 air weapons. This Corsair is just going to buy time. He'll sacrifice this to go all the way down to the obscurity of the bottom left side of the map while he begins a push towards the bottom right. The Zealots don't... Well, I guess he's got enough. Yeah, with +1, he can kill off some of these Lings. The exchange is a little bit awkward. I thought... and wow, there was double Hydra Den. I have to imagine that was deliberate.
Yes. 100%. He needs to get into a Hydra bust before Storm is out. Like, that's his only chance for victory now. He's getting completely slammed.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
What? Okay. I mean, 2 Zealots, I think you just send it, man. You just start to kill everything. You are going to be able to lock him out of supply. He brings him down to 38 of 44. There are almost no Overlords anywhere. He's basically... Okay, that's it.
Yeah.
Basically, Effort taps out before the pain really begins. Yeah, when you have that many Corsairs, you're going to kill every Overlord, and eventually Zealots are going to show up, and one by one, your Hydras are going to be killed off, and you're going to be overpowered.
Well, that was a dominating one from SnOw. These Nexus First builds are really working out for him so far. Is Effort going to have to rethink his strategy now? It's crazy. He won on the most Protoss map and then just got completely dismantled on the next two. I don't know which way is up anymore. This series is really not going how I expected.
It's interesting. You know, SnOw played really well, but I gotta say, I felt like Effort kind of wanted to force something, and I think SnOw handled it just perfectly. I love the suicided Corsair to just confirm, are you all in, or are you making drones? Like, are you still making just Scourge and Mutas? Because it's going to be go time pretty soon. I actually thought it was a bad rally. That was a little bit of projection from Caster Tasteless over here, being like, oh no, I do that too. I hold off the rush, and then my extra Corsairs fly across the map. Not actually what's going on, apparently.
No. Far too good for that. So,
No.
yeah, SnOw leads right now, 2-1. We're going to go to a commercial break in a moment here. And that'll at least give Effort a breather to kind of reassess where he wants to be in this series and how he's going to start fighting back in Set 4 in Litmus. We'll be right back.
For esports pros, awareness is essential. That's why the Black Shark V3 Pro is tuned in to what matters most. A quantum leap in speed for instant audio response. Full range clarity that carries every shot call. Advanced ANC to eliminate all distractions. And crisp, clean sound that captures key audio cues. Made for the best. Made for who you can be.
Thank you for waiting, everybody. We're back. This PvZ is continuing on, and, you know, the tenor has really changed since Game 3. SnOw was looking so scary.
He really is. That was just a fantastic game. The thing is, Effort is doing really decisive plays, and they haven't worked out for a couple of games. You know, it feels like he led SnOw around on Game 1, and then he, like, chose some aggressive things in Game 2 and a very aggressive Game 3 that looked like a Mutalisk all into me, and those didn't work. So does he recalibrate? The thing is, we don't know for sure. Is he playing some of this by feel? Does he have every game planned? Different people go about these series in different ways. Sometimes you're measuring what your opponent's doing and trying to figure out kind of the way that they're playing on a given day, and sometimes you already know what you're going to do on every map.
Litmus will be map number 4. You know, Effort has consistently been aggressive. He's been in the Protoss' face. It just seems like the last 2 times it kind of backfired. And, of course, is SnOw going to go for this Nexus into Forge expand build that does put him in a really, really strong economic position if he gets away with it? That's what we got to ask ourselves.
I don't know. It's a 2-player map. So I don't know if he's going to go for that, but let's do it, Tastosis.
Okay, Protoss in the bottom, Zerg in the top. This is a map you both share the right side. I don't know if there's any weird stuff you can do to exploit the predictable scouting patterns. You know, I guess double gateway could be good on this map, like proxied, but people really don't do that anymore. So I'll wait for that to just start to happen in ASL before I talk about it too much more. But it feels like Protoss still just want to fast expand here. The question is what kind? And, of course, does Zerg have any way to punish that? Because Effort's shown he's very much inclined to be an aggro Zerg here and try to get his lumps in early on.
I actually really wonder how the balance of this map goes. Because, you know, you do have that extra gas. These 2 gases are each 3,000, so they do run out more quickly. But, like, that is potential extra gas for Protoss to get more High Templars if they need. Yeah, I'm not really sure, honestly. I feel like I've seen, out of all the maps, I think I've seen more Roaring Currents PVZs than I've seen Litmus PVZs. So I don't know if you have a thought on how that second gas in the main base affects this matchup.
I don't know. I have a hard time. I think we both have kind of been incorrect a couple times in predicting where the second gas is going to come into play. You know, I guess you can. You know, Protoss maybe need gas in this matchup more than anybody needs gas in a matchup, if that makes sense. Like, you really need Templars. You really need Storm. You're basically just getting all your upgrades as fast as you can. And the only thing that's stopping you from getting any faster is the extra gas. So maybe there's a world where you can get your important, you know, as an example, you could get Observer Vision Range and probably the Templar Energy upgrade much faster on this map after you fast expand, right?
For sure. You could.
That's got to be strong. Yeah. You could, in theory, be going for Corsairs and I guess going for 2 Forges, but then maybe there's something mathematically where that doesn't make sense because you are spending so much in upgrades that you don't have the kind of army that you need. I'm not totally sure.
Well, taking a look, Tasteless, this is like overpool speed, isn't it? So
yeah, this is a strong build.
Yeah, if SnOw was able to throw his Nexus down before his cannon, it looks like he's sitting there to make a secondary cannon. And, of course, he'll probably throw the gate up and maybe bring a couple probes to make sure that he blocks this. But Overlord, I mean, overpool speed is like, that's pretty darn aggressive. What do you think about this build in general? Oh, he's sending a drone. Is he going to hop the Lings over the back?
Oh, he is. He is. My initial thought was that you need to send a second probe out and hide it somewhere to scout. But yeah, you're right. He's just going to try to hop Lings over. And you can see SnOw's running back here. Oh, I mean, SnOw could just die here. Speed Lings in your main? in a moment like this is going to be so bad. So what he wants to do is he wants to have this mining so that the drone can't mine, because there's 48 minerals here. Oh, he's actually attacking through and hitting the lings. Oh.
This is wild. This is wild.
He's going to try to skip him one more time.
Okay, he's got one. Do you just make a cannon? Yeah, I was going to say make a cannon in your main, and you can see how he actually curved the second cannon there back to block his minerals a little bit in case the lings do get in. It feels like SnOw already has the right plans. That's a very quick layer in Hydra Den, Tasteless.
Effort's going to go for something really cheesy here. I don't know if the Hydra Den is a red herring and he wants to go mutas in case he was scouted, or if he wants to do like a lurker bust or a lurker drop. We're going to see. This is a wild and crazy game. I'll go back to my initial point, which was that usually when you see the overpull into lings with speed, you gotta hide a scout because you need to figure out what the follow-up is. There's so many things Protoss have to be ready for, and if they prepare for one thing and not the other, they are going to be in a really bad spot.
Do you think, like, where the cannons are placed, it doesn't look like lurker bust is very good? Could, like, lurker drop possibly?
Well, I think it's going to be lurker bust, but lurker drop is fine too. You know, lurker drop's really scary because it's really tough to cover everything with cannons in your main. And if you lose your main, by the way, I mean, you're just dead. He's got lings running around here on the inside, so we can see where things are positioned.
And the lurker,
this is
lurker bust builds are 3 lurkers, and that is how many he's making. It looks like he might go through the back. Okay, that makes some sense, right? Like, use the lurkers to maybe kill those buildings. And in fact, he's going to pop a probe here and see those incoming Hydralisks. Oh my god, SnOw is just so on top of everything Effort's doing. That tells him everything about what's happening in this game.
Oh my god, he can't even kill the probe either. So he's going to see what's happening over here. Can you bump a lurker over? I'm not sure how this works. Or maybe you just want to have 3 lurkers blow up everything.
Well,
and have them run through.
We actually saw Shine do this before, where if you morph those 3 in a line right there, lurkers are much bigger than the hydras or eggs, so they will displace each other and they will start to dance over each other. So I bet you he gets at least 2 of them over with this.
He needs to make a cannon pronto. He's going to make 2 over here. He needs to get a block up. Oh my god. I mean, SnOw can win, but like Effort is still extremely dangerous right now. Can he make a pylon wall over here, actually? Could you wall this off with pylons?
Yeah, you could to slow it down. That would slow down the lurkers. They'd have to kill the pylons as well. Oh, he's using burrow, unburrow. So he gets 1 out immediately. Can that hit the minerals from behind here? Oh, that's such a well-placed cannon. Oh my god.
But maybe the cannon covers it just right. The lurker's fat enough, you can't just run by a zealot. Now, remember, you know, we're seeing SnOw pretty gracefully parry all this tech. He's making probes the whole time. Zerg's on a 3rd hatchery being produced. Oh, I guess you can hit that 1 patch, by the way.
This is kind of a funny little attack. 2 Zealots and 1 Dragoon and 1 Corsair going across the map. They target down immediately the Corsair so that he doesn't end up losing a bunch of Overlords. Might actually target 1 hurt 1 down with that Dragoon, but it looks like he's having a hard time getting it to fire correctly. The 2 Zealots going up towards that main base.
Yeah, the Zealots can just come in here and do damage wherever. And, you know, it's funny. Someone might look at that and be like, how does he know he can hit with 2 Zealots and a Dragoon? That's like not... This looks like an early game PvT. It's because the only thing that's really been made is lurkers. You know? It's that... Oh, and he gets this Observer out in time. So he rushed into OBS tech. He's going to get a kill on that lurker. Beautifully done. He'll keep the Forge protected. And I guess the Forge can't be killed, so the +1 attack upgrade can't be stopped. Oh, man, Tastosis right now, SnOw is looking so good. It looks like he's going to win game 3. Look at this. These Zealots will come down here. There's nowhere for this lurker to run. And Zerg's obsolete.
All of Effort's little tricks this game have not gone the way he had hoped. He had a hard time getting everything to jump. I can't believe he brought a probe up and finished that exactly. That's insane.
Yeah, crazy.
What am I even looking at? SnOw is so dialed in right now. It is ridiculous watching how well he's playing. And now pushing out with some of these Zealots. There's not like a lot of options here, it feels like, for Effort. It's like, okay, yeah, he brings up some Lurkers. That'll slow down like the Zealots from really doing anything. But I don't know what the continuation is for Effort. If you're going to win this game, like, what road do you go down?
Oh, it's so hard, Tastosis. I mean, at this point in time, you know, by the way, he is going to try to get this Forge here. He's basically doing everything he can to stop +1 from finishing. So he does do that, and, you know, he does kill these Zealots off, so that's a small victory. The problem is that if you're making probes and you get all your cannons up and you're getting your tech up, you can fill the gateways in later. Some games per us get a couple gateways earlier. Other games, it's much later. But, like, remember that in other games you see in PvZ, the Zerg is getting, like, you know, 5 or 6 hatches with healthy production right now. This is a Zerg that's barely on 4 hatches.
There's only 2 Corsairs out and 1 cannon in the main. I actually really like this idea of the Lurkers. I mean, it continues down this kind of all-in style that Effort is playing in general, but I think the Mutas are a really, really good call here. It's not like there's a Dark Archon ready. It's like, yeah, I guess you could make Archons, but he's already got Lurker tech out, so, like, he doesn't have to stay on Mutas. I really like the idea of making this group of Mutas and just making things even more difficult for SnOw to deal with.
Yeah, it's an interesting idea. It really shows you how well-versed Effort is at, like, different stages of aggro, especially on a map this specific. I think the play is to not go for Storm too fast and instead just get an Archon and start to try to push out on the map. Now, he's keeping 2 Templars, so maybe he already got Storm and has decided he just wants to try to get some value with this. But, again, the scary thing that's coming is this eventual push. Protoss is going to have so much, and Zerg will have so little. And, you know, as long as he keeps the Corsairs alive, he's basically fine. Scourge are being bled off right now.
Man, Effort still being shut down a little bit, but, you know, he is making SnOw do a lot of things. Like, there's a lot that has to be countered here. Oh, that's so funny.
That's so funny. You actually don't need this, by the way.
Yeah.
Once you have the Templar Archives and you have the Zealot speed upgrade, you literally can get rid of that. And unless you lose your Templar Archives later, you don't need that. But that is funny to see that it literally in the way.
That is, yeah, it's like Zerg has that too with the Queen's Nest. Like, once you have the Hive started, the Queen's Nest doesn't matter, so a lot of people put it in front of the Sunken Colonies to just buy time. But yeah, it's kind of like a funny in these weird progressions of tech. But does knock that out. He's got the 3 gas, which we were kind of talking about before. Effort still being pretty active with the Muta Scourge. He's not really finding a lot, but, you know, an Observer kill, rather, not too bad.
He's going to go for a contain, and, you know, with really good control between Scourge, Muta, and Hydra, if you can take out Observers, that's big. I hope he's getting Observer sight range and speed, because that's going to make this much, much, much easier to manage. And you're basically entirely invested. Oh, my God, he's so good.
What?
Oh, that changes everything. So you're invested in just anchoring everything into this position. If you can stop him from taking a 3rd base and stop him from leaving, that's huge. Now, you might be asking yourself, but what about the back of the base? Okay, if he goes out the back, the same way the Lurkers tried to come in, you attack into the natural. He's also setting up for drop. Suddenly, Tastosis, I think that SnOw could lose this game. This is wild.
Yeah, it really felt like he was super far behind for a long time. I can't believe he's setting up a mass drop now. Effort uses every single thing that's available. And look at this. He even draws the Corsairs over there with the Mutas. He just sacked the Mutas to bring everything out of position. And now he's going to drop the main base. Effort is such a master statistician. Oh my God, I can't even speak. But look at this drop coming into the main base. Like, oh, this is going to be so dirty to clean up.
Yeah. You know, if he gets that Templar Archives, you can't make Templars anymore because you don't have the Citadel. I doubt that Effort knows that's been killed off, but, like, that's pretty big. He is going to send everything back over here. There's no Overlords to spot and kill this Observer. And so SnOw is just going to keep the ball rolling here. He's going to have to send his workers back and try to defend. Once he's done defending this, try to go back to mining. But then he's got to try to come out once again and go for a push.
And now you have to watch for drops for the rest of the game. And we saw how good Effort was with those drops in the very first game. I just heard another Observer die. He's really taxing the Observers here. Like, everything that Effort is doing is just making this so difficult. I can imagine how frustrating this must be as Protoss.
Oh, it's really hard to deal with. And, you know, you have the threat of another drop coming into the main. You have the... okay, he's going to do it again. You know, just keeping Protoss back here dealing with this is a lot. Okay, hold on. The probes are going to come through here. It looks like he will protect them. He's going to do it over here, too. This is a great play. He's going to come into the front. Dude, he's everywhere. It's insane.
It is insane. He's setting up so many things at once. You can see he's playing over 400 APM right now. Fastest player in the ASL, even faster than Barracks. Just doing so many things at once, and SnOw is having a really hard time parrying everything.
Now, he's broken out. It's finally going to be the Protoss' turn. Can Zerg do another drop? Yeah, he's going to try to do one more drop to pull everything back into the main. And it looks like this is actually going to be interrupted. This is maybe the most important part of the game here for SnOw's sake, because he's going to kill these Overlords off. He's going to kill these Hydras off. And then it's finally going to be Protoss' time to push. All Effort's been trying to do is curb progress over here for SnOw. And SnOw's finally broken free. There's no counterattack option. And now it's going to be SnOw's moment to push. And SnOw also, by the way, can finally take a third base. He's about to dry up on 2 bases. And the same is probably true for Effort here.
Oh, man.
Ooh, man, storming his Corsairs is not a pretty sight.
Well, sometimes they have to eat a bit of damage here. He's pushing as quickly as he can across the map, trying to take this advantage that he's built for himself in this very chaotic game and do something with it. Does he have a storm there on that High Templar? It's just Dragoons fighting, but it is a huge amount of Dragoons.
Yeah, he's got an absurd amount of Dragoons, enough to basically fight on both sides. If he can get some Zealots and Templars and send it in, I think this game's over. I think SnOw has just narrowly won this game. But a Lurker drop comes in, the targeting's insane. Again, though, things are falling apart at the natural.
Yeah, Effort has almost nothing left over. I can't imagine him hatching enough out of these eggs to actually end up clearing these. It looks like his natural's going to fall. He's going after the Spire right now. Does end up picking that off, and GG is going to be called. SnOw leading 3-1 now. Just some dominating play.
Choking on my own spit here seeing that game. That was so sick, dude.
That was sick.
He played so well. Are you kidding me? I'm dying over here. It's so good.
That's how good Effort's play was.
Protoss could make that work.
Yeah, all the Protosses watching just lost the game, but SnOw ended up winning it. It looked like SnOw was going to dominate him from A to Z, and then Effort just set up so many things at once with the drop into the main base, dropping to kill probes, picking off High Templars. He was doing so much at once, so many high-level moves, that he almost came back from like a terrible position. I actually thought he was going to win for a minute. And then SnOw just barely got it together. I think you're right when he caught the drop that was going to come into the main. If he was a few seconds late and Effort drops in the main again, I think Effort wins that game easily.
That's so insane, man. You know, it's like he was barely holding off everything from Effort. And even at the very end, I think he probably had his probe count cut in half. But once he denied that final drop, when he pushed out and he was able to hit the Hydras and the Corsairs were just diving onto the Overlords, that was when it was go time for SnOw. Had the drop gotten in one more time, the Corsairs weren't there, the Dragoons hadn't scouted that, it could have been SnOw pulled back into his base and the Lurker Contain would have continued on. Effort is looking so scary, but right now SnOw is in a very, very healthy lead with 3-1.
All right, we're going to go into Knockout next. This is a SnOw pick. This does have that little trough that makes it harder to Hydra bust, but that won't necessarily stop Effort from trying. We shall see. Let's go into map number 6. Or 5. Map number 5. I was counting. I'm like, how could it be map 6 if it's 3-1 right now?
But that means that then Effort has to win on map 8, and that can't be possible.
Yeah, they say that you are the average of the people that you surround yourself with, and there's so many Protoss in this season that my IQ has just dropped.
Right now, we've got Effort in the bottom right. We've got SnOw in the bottom left. And let's see what kind of game we're going to get. You know, Effort has chosen every time to play with a lot of very aggressive ideas. And for the most part, SnOw basically has stopped them. You know, we talked about this before the series started. SnOw doesn't really do that much crazy stuff. He's not like Mini, where he's going to go up to 6 DTs in the mid-game. He's not exactly like Bisu, where he's going to be sending Zealots out all over the place and getting Mass Corsair Zealot to take a fight. You know, Best has done a million different weird openings in PvZ, and SnOw's not doing any of them this time around. But what SnOw is doing here is just playing very solid, honorable Protoss. He's just defending, and you know, Effort is getting so close, like on a razor's edge, close to just getting to the tipping point to win the game. And by the way, Effort, it's time for a mass Hydra bust. You might be right, but this time it's going to be 9 full Speedling. Now, 9 full Speedling is different than what we've already seen.
Yes.
For those that aren't paying super close attention, no, wait a minute. Is he going to get a gas? He's just going to go for 9 pool no speed, excuse me. So it's 9 pool extractor trick.
Yep. And it's actually an end scout out of SnOw here. So he's checking those close spawns. He's bringing this pro up. It looks like he is just going to blindly make Forge. Yeah, there it is. So that's actually going to be really important that he started his Forge and didn't just go for a Nexus first here. And as the probe comes up and scouts, yeah, he's going to see exactly what this is. And I believe against this, you just throw down 2 cannons, right?
Yeah. It's a little bit of an annoying opening to play against this Protoss. I don't think SnOw is going to have any issues. But you are greatly slowed down by your Nexus. See, there you go. You've got to get the 2 cannons here. Now, you know, Slowlings are... Oh, I love the block, by the way. This is very, very on purpose. He's basically right-clicking this ahead. The Lings should be slightly faster than the probe, but the probe is body blocking. Okay, and he turns around. So, yeah, the next play is to get a Nexus here, I think. Does he want to block the ramp at all with the 2 probes? I guess not.
Well, with the Lings following this probe right now, I guess he doesn't have to worry about it right at this moment. The Nexus gets started. The probe continues to run away. That drone kind of coming up behind. Is he just going to take his 3rd in the top right, it looks like? Yeah, I guess so. The way he maneuvered the drone, I thought he was going to take 3. I don't know if he was trying to do that to throw SnOw off or something, but yeah, there's his 3rd base in the top right natural.
So, on the surface, this looks like a game where the Zerg wants to turtle. SnOw has a great guide on his YouTube about this style of play, which is if you can confirm they're turtling, because by the way, they could just Hydra bust with this. That's like one of the super cheesy plays. Is you show them this and you think, oh man, I got to get ready. He's going to go to Hive, and then just Hydras come across the map and kill you. But if he does in fact turtle, the play is to basically mass up Dragoons and an Archon and Corsairs, and you don't get Templars right away because you're not afraid of mass Hydra if they're turtling. And you just camp outside of their natural and try to kill buildings that are blocking. Now, on this map, you have that divot. You have that little half pipe right here in the middle of our screen. And okay, never mind, it doesn't matter. He is going to do the Hydra bust. So he's going super cheesy, but it's misleading because of what you see on the surface here.
Well, you know, this is one of those maps where you don't expect the Hydra bust as much. That's why that little divot is there, is to make Hydra busting a bit weaker, since some of the Hydras will be missing shots shooting up to the high ground. You know, that's, again, it's part of what we looked at and said, okay, this looks like they're trying to get maybe a Protoss champion this season, maybe trying to stop Sulky overall. because a lot of these things specifically help Protoss. But that doesn't mean it's still completely easy to hold. Like, you can still just shove a ton of Hydras and win the game. Like we were talking about in map 1, it's like, because it's not a strong strategy, you might underestimate it or count it out when you haven't been able to scout it.
So the Zealot's going to come across the map, and Effort needs to have perfect body blocking. He doesn't. This slips through. Did a Hydra hatch here? Okay, it just now hatches.
Yeah.
So that's all you need to see. And I love the Zealot running all the way down the mineral patch. He's just going to buy so much time. Oh, SnOw, this is so annoying. Effort wants to be moving across the map, but instead he's going back to where his starting location is. Now, Hydra's speed's done. And, you know, I guess we talked about the fact that there's a low ground area here. Look at the placement of the buildings. I guess SnOw doesn't actually have that much room for extra cannons. Can he fit only one more cannon back there? Maybe two? I think two.
It is pretty annoying, actually. There's really not a lot of room. I can't tell if you can fit one between that cannon and the Nexus. It looks like no. Can you? Is there a spot there? Yeah, I guess there is actually. The pylon
pretty deceiving.
Yeah, the pylon actually is in between those, so he could fit a second row of cannons, at least 2 of them, right next to the Nexus. But yeah, right now 4 cannons, 2 Zealots are going to be the defense. Kind of checks what it looks like there with his Zergling. Another hatchery on the way.
He's ditching this.
Yeah, that's what it looks like. Layer at the top right.
I love the layer at the top right. That's so annoying. By the way, SnOw doesn't blink. SnOw just sticks with his 4 cannons, says, yeah, no, there's nothing coming across the map. He's got 2 Corsairs that are doing a very thorough job confirming that there's nothing else attacking here. He does send the Hydras in, and I'm guessing what he wants to do is see if he can get an angle on the Forge. But, 3 Zealots actually can fight this no problem. You can just A-click that and start to macro back at home. This is going to be a lot of effort, no pun intended, to put into those 2 Hydras to actually take this fight.
Oh, don't lie. You intended that pun. Now
I did not intend that pun.
Oh, wow. You're just such a natural comedic genius.
I would never intend that pun.
My bad, Tasteless. You're the greatest. I actually wonder if there's a chance he goes back into the Hydra bus. I've seen that occasionally in, like, ladder games where, like, they'll start to drone, make a hatchery. The Corsairs are like, okay, add your gates. This is done, and then suddenly a bunch more Hydras are made and sent across the map. But it looks like, yeah, he's just still droning.
So this is another game where Effort tried something pretty sneaky, and now he's on his back foot. Momentum going onto SnOw's side. He's going up to 4 gateways with Zealot speed being upgraded. A Templar Archives coming as well. Effort going to turtle up. So I can go back to the initial thing I was saying earlier about what Protoss needs to do here. A lot of times what you need to do is get some Dragoons with range and basically hit the tech infrastructure that's on the outside front, like the hatchery over here in the middle, or the hatchery up over here in the center left. And you can basically get a huge punish that way. It's also great to get a shuttle to drop units into the mains here, because they end up being so building reliant that a couple of Zealots or DTs can be very hard to manage.
I remember seeing this turtle style so frequently used back in like 2018-ish, 2019-ish. We saw it so much from like Larva and Sulky. We're like god tier at this. They used it all the time. The 4-base split just like this. The hatcheries in front, the Sunkens behind, maybe some lurkers added in later, go up to Hive, that type of thing. It was really, really popular, but very few people did what you suggest. Like, we saw so many people just be like, I'm going to attack this over and over, and then end up losing. So I'm hoping that SnOw does approach this in a more methodical way. But right now, he actually just runs it with a bunch of speed Zealots, and there's not a lot here, but he does get a couple of lurkers, and there is an egg on the ramp. So I think he will end up holding this and saving this base.
Yeah, it's very risky to try to come in here like that. Between turtled sunken colonies and then lurker tech, it's just really tough to get in here and actually take a fight. The Corsairs are going to kill this off. An early 3rd base, by the way, is also a great move, like we're seeing SnOw do here now. There's a point where you got to look at it and go, all right, well, we're going to not attack each other for a while here. But, by the way, SnOw's not doing what he talks about. He's got Storm. he might have decided that this was turtle play a little bit too late, so he kind of evolved into the tech that he's got now, and he's going to, try to play the game from here. Great Psy Storm there. Any lurker kill you'll always take, and he goes up to 4 bases. So this is another approach you can have versus just like a 2-base push. And I guess maybe this makes a little bit more sense because in some ways it's like, yeah, but there is that low ground area. I remember, obviously you know him, Artosis, but Spunky a long time ago told me about this play style because I remember even back then, Protoss, this is like before StarCraft 2 came out.
Yeah.
He was explaining to me that like what you really want to do is just get all your upgrades and like all your gateways and not worry about having a ton of units because they're just going to have like, they're attacking too. They almost want you to attack into them. And I guess once you see the third, obviously a fourth makes sense.
Totally.
And just be ready for a super dramatic late game.
Well, yeah, and with SnOw specifically, anytime he takes a mineral base in this matchup, he immediately takes the 4th base. Like it's like a leapfrogging maneuver. I've seen him do it countless times on like Polypoid and basically any map with a 3rd base that's a mineral base. Like he'll take that, throw down some cannons, and just kind of utilize that to get the 4th base, and he really gets his macro going. So this is a situation where SnOw is very, very, very well practiced on this 4-base type of economy. Effort over here is turtling so insanely hard. I think without doubt, we'll just see him rush up to Hive here, get Zergling and Crackling upgrades, Defiler, that type of thing. But yeah, we're going to see a nice big macro game. Our first, I think, real macro game in the round of 8 so far, I would say.
Yeah, I think you're right, Artosis. Everything else has been so kind of crazy.
Yeah.
So what Zerg's doing is they're going to go right into that it's almost like crazy Zerg in this matchup. By the way, I love him expanding again. So he's going to see with the Dragoons if he can pick anything else off out there. But yeah, SnOw just goes back. He's going to get a ton of bases. He's going to have cannons everywhere. I think Reaver Tech is appropriate. I think in some ways Protoss, when they do this style, they're basically skipping mid-game, which almost doesn't sound like that's a thing, but you can do that.
By the way, there's 2 Defiler Mounds going down purposefully here from Effort. He wants to consume and Plague right away. It kind of makes sense because it takes actually a long time for Plague to get out if you go Consume and then Plague. But Plague is like one of the ultimate weapons against Protoss. Like Plague farming is so broken, like in every matchup. If you just get Plague, like it is unbelievably powerful. And it has to be very frustrating for Protoss because there's no way to refill your actual health.
Oh, sure. No, it's super painful. You get plagued and you go, okay, well, these are almost worthless. A couple lurker shots and this is all going to be gone. But I don't know, man. I look at this from Effort's position. It's like, okay, he looks scary, but like 5 base Protoss?
Yeah.
With SnOw having another main, with a roaming Protoss army, no doubt, maybe like 70+ probes here.
Well,
this is going to not be that easy here for Effort. I think a lot of Zergs are used to Protosses attacking into them and kind of bleeding units, and then they have a very easy game when it's, the Crackling upgrade and Defilers with Swarm, and you kind of just start to throw things at them. You can use drops and everything else like that, but, SnOw, if you look at what his army is right now, it looks like an army that you would have pushed with like right when you were taking your 3rd base. This is a 5-base Protoss where everything's defended. Templars are at each location. SnOw's almost maxed out, by the way.
Yeah, Effort does have enough supply to just hold on, though. The one thing, whenever I see a game that looks like this, by the way, because I know how hard it is to break Zerg defense, I always think to myself, and I know we saw this a little bit last season because of one specific map, but I just want to see Protoss go recall more often in these situations. Like an Arbiter with... I just don't see another way to actually finish Zerg other than transporting.
I don't think so, Artosis. I think an Arbiter is a death sentence. Your army's going to get stuck inside their main, And a lot of times you're really less interested in trying to... it's not like they're Terran units, right? Like Terran, you recall, they got to send everything back in there. Zerg, it's pretty easy to send everything up there and kind of wipe you out. And they could always just counterattack and kill you everywhere else. Zerg units get to places easily in a way that Terran units don't. It's kind of like, you know, when you see Protoss try to run back in their base when lurker drops happen, that's like a recall. That's like really hard to deal with. It's hard to get your units in and out of these kind of narrow areas. But a recall is expensive. I mean, I guess maybe there's a moment it could be used, but I think you're better off just splitting the map in half, pushing, controlling, because the goal is not to kill a Zerg's main. You don't care about that. They have that. They're going to have that for the rest of the game. You could try storm dropping it with speed shuttles. That'll kill stuff off in there. But as far as like killing the hatcheries and wiping it out, I don't think that's worth your army.
Well, Tasteless, in my final act of life when I turn 100, I'm going to switch to Protoss and go recall against Zerg because
I know
pushing through the Dark Swarm plus Plague, like, I don't know that there's a real way to do it. Like for any race, it's just the Defiler is such the ultimate defensive unit. It is so unbelievably difficult to break Defiler-based positions. And it's like, yeah, I mean, you know, Dark Storm's stopping all ranged attacks, and then it's like they just plague anything that comes in. Lurkers shred zealots, and it's like, well, damn, how do we actually kill effort here?
Well, that's the whole thing. I think you don't want to kill him. I think you want to just stay back because
yeah.
the longer that you stay in the game, the worse it's going to get. Protoss with half the map, it's kind of all you need. It's like when Terran gets half the map versus Protoss. You're like, oh, well, this is going to be fine. I'll be okay long term. Oh, can he get this Defiler?
I don't know if he got it.
Oh, okay. I don't know.
Yeah, I guess he did. Looks like it. Well, that's
big.
Only a mild annoyance now that there's no Defiler up there. A lot of cracklings being produced. More Defilers coming out as well. You know, it is very hard to go up and kill Protoss also. You know, if you're sitting there, you have a ton of Psystorm. Maybe we'll see some Reavers really added in throughout the map at some of these defensive locations. Obviously, the upgrades are getting to be fantastic. But yeah, attacking each other just becomes really, really hard. Like going up these hills against lurkers and everything, it really is going to come down to grinding with spells.
Okay. He's got the Reavers now. He's ready to push. Basically, all of the map is secure right now for Protoss. He's got cannons. He's got Templars. He might even have Dark Archons to catch drops. And now you just basically play a slow game. 2 shuttles and Reavers. Keep everything together. I guess he's going to push in here a little bit faster than I expected, but you get the idea. And you can take on insane amounts of Zerg units.
Look at the amount of Overlords having to evacuate from there. He's going to lose this mineral base. Not necessarily the end of the world. A huge amount of units are going for a counterattack. I actually thought he was coming down to sandwich this army, but instead going to attack into here. Now, there is a few High Templars in here with a lot of energy, but good splitting on the Lurkers overall. Damn.
I mean, the storms are beautiful. I don't... how does Zerg win now? Oof. Such a beautiful play here from SnOw. I mean, you know, just strategically kind of identifying that a turtling Zerg rushing to Defilers has no threats on the board, and therefore can't stop a Protoss that just plays conservatively, as in defensively, and just takes the left side of the map. You're against a Protoss that... I mean, Protoss never get this many bases, man. You never see Protoss when they're this big. And Zerg is basically on 4 bases. I guess there's a fresh 5th base. We see drones making a little drone snake their way up there to take that. But, like, you know SnOw's going to just push in that location. There's got to be something like 20 Templar in this game, defending just everything and everywhere. Unable to get anything done here is Zerg.
There's so many High Templar on the map right now. It might be time, Tasteless, for Spawn Broodling. Let's go, effort.
Yeah, let's go, man. Spawn Broodling.
Spawn Broodling against Arbors, Tasteless, the true end game.
That's right.
As a Terran imagines
and maybe this time Tastosis, as you've asked me so many times, where maybe this time he can go carriers finally and do it against Zerg.
Oh, no, not this time, Tasteless. This isn't the right moment. No. This isn't it.
This isn't the moment for carriers. So... you know, he's going to kill this base off. The next target's going to be there. There is going to be a counterattack. We know there's Templars on the map. You know, Protoss doesn't have the biggest army in the world right now. They've just got enough cannons, Archons, and then just kind of a general set of Protoss material like DTs and Archons and Zealots, and it's hard to break any of these locations. And let's say that Effort does break this. Okay, well then SnOw just comes back, kills this off, and expands again. I mean, who's really losing money here?
Yeah, it seems very expensive for Effort to even break through the cannons at this point. And he clears that all up really, really quickly. These Cracklings going to attack in. Those were sitting there for a while. Another little attack coming up. The funny thing about Cracklings is that they can actually kill Reavers still. That doesn't even really feel like it makes sense. But if you plague the Reaver, they actually chew through it relatively quick. But yeah, all these spots, like, I love the way that SnOw is applying pressure, where he's just like running up and like bludgeoning some of these areas. Effort's trying to set up these mineral bases, but having a really hard time of it.
Yeah, the storms are beautiful. You know, the more lurkers you kill over time, and yeah, I learned a lot from SnOw in one of his educational videos, in that a lot of times you just storm, just look for a storm. If you don't kill it, it's okay. Just storm over time. The more storms you get off and keep your army alive, you're eventually going to win the game. We've got another attack over here at the natural.
Dude, Cracklings,
and, you know, I got to say, Effort's putting up a good fight.
Yeah.
Yeah, Cracklings are good units. He should really fill this entire bottom location up with cannons and put Reavers here.
Yeah, the attack speed of those Cracklings is just insane how quickly they're chewing through some of these buildings. Effort is putting on like very good pressure. You know, he's got right now 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 bases, and he's taking 2 more. And like the constant counterattacks of the Zerglings, like this is the most important thing that he can be doing right now, because those are very, very expendable. And if he can throw down a few plagues here and there with that, a Dark Swarm here and there, he can start popping a few Nexuses. You know, most of
SnOw's
Protoss
not
is
going
ranged.
to defend this base.
Yeah.
Yeah, what SnOw wants to do is come up here and poke out all of these bases and basically force a reset, because right now, all of Effort's bases are about to mine out.
Well, you know, Effort
he's
is actually cleaning this pretty well. He's going to lose that hatchery for sure. Ooh, some really quality Psy Storms there. Really, really, really messing up. My God, he has a lot of Psy Storms. Kadarian Amulet is a good upgrade. But yeah, SnOw almost losing a base there, but he has killed a couple Effort bases during that time.
Yeah. We have we have a continuation of this attack up here. I think the top right main is almost mined out, which means all that Effort has is the 2 bases at the top. One just finished, and the other one's the mineral only. You know, mineral only is going to be pretty handy for just massing up Zerglings, but
yeah,
again, Protoss can kind of just push back out, secure the areas that were denied earlier, and probably try to fight from there. You know, it's a Protoss that's maxed out. Effort has a lot of money and can't quite spend it all. Kind of crazy.
You know, we have like a lot of Reavers out here, a lot of Archons, a lot of Zealots. So like he has a very good anti-Crackling army at this point, which is, I feel like, why we're seeing a few extra Hydras mixed in there. Hydras are really, really good against Archons. You can target them down super, super quick with Hydralisk. So I think that's why we're seeing them, even though, you know, Hydras are not like really the unit you want in the late game. They're still going to be somewhat useful. Great Plague goes down there on some of the Zealots. Definitely wants that to get in there and help him to whittle these down a bit quicker.
Yeah, as long as he has Storm with this, you know, Reavers are great, but you do want a couple Templars here for Psy Storm. You know, the problem right now is that SnOw doesn't have a counter push coming out here, and Effort is reclaiming these bases. SnOw, in this very moment, needs to counterattack. You can see the top right is almost mined out. Everything in the bottom is mined out. So really, all this comes down to is, can Protoss push the top center and the mineral-only base and close this game out?
Well, he's got 3/2/3 upgrades. He's got quite a scary army. He's been maxed out for years. Look at this, 4.5K, 3K bank. It's insane. And yeah, like, here he comes. I mean, that's a good amount of Hydras to pick off the Archons pretty quickly. So if he can pick off the Archons and kind of get some Dark Swarms down and plague some of the Zealots, maybe there's still like a slight chance to hold this, but you can see his supply just falling off as SnOw continues to push.
Yeah. You know, there's like one lurker over here. A lot is coming into counterattack, but like this base is so important up here, and the drones are going to be pulled. Oh my god, some huge hits on the drones. And it just feels like SnOw, as long as he keeps this composition, Zealots, High Templars, Archons, you can push through. And Reavers, obviously. You know, Dragoons are a little bit obsolete because of Dark Swarm, but then, you know, they stop making Defilers and Dark Swarming because there are no Dragoons.
Yeah, you're not seeing anywhere near as many Dark Storms now. It's really about getting those Plagues out and utilizing those. Effort has re-expanded to 3 o'clock, so that's really important that he has that second base up and mining. I don't know, maybe he can retake that mineral base near his main where, you know, he's taken that like 3-4 times and SnOw's killed it every single time. But SnOw getting ready, I think, to hit this other mineral base, which is very sparse on defense.
Yeah, and this is where the bulk of all the drones are. The drones are all in just like one of 3 locations here. The base at 3 o'clock, and then the base in the main that's going to mine out any second now. Oh my god, these storms are just brutal. And there's not going to be enough Hydras, I think, to fight this off. SnOw, I think, is going to 4-1 effort. And by the way, what was a really close series.
Yeah.
I mean, it's still close right now. It looks like he's barely going to fight this off anyways, but you get what I'm saying.
Yeah, Effort just barely still alive. His Hydra's not going to do anything under that Dark Storm against the Zealots. Definitely the wrong spell for this situation. Some more Zerglings going to come up here, but the Psy Storms are just endless as well. Such an impressive day here out of SnOw. And it felt like Effort played well, and I would definitely say Effort played his own style, which is very fun to see. You know, he definitely has his own fingerprint in the matchup and the very decisive ways that he goes about playing. And he even shows here that this has been a very great defensive macro game. But SnOw has grinded him down. This is exactly what we were talking about before, where it's like, yeah, as the game goes longer in this matchup, SnOw probably should be favored. I think he's the best in this type of game.
I think so. He's really mastered this style of play. You know, I'm glad we got to see late game PvZ because so much of this was like Effort trying to avoid this whole phase of the game. But you can see SnOw really is the best in the whole world at kind of the macro late game PvZ along with the push play. You know, I was saying at the start of this, it's probably going to be him winning with pushes because his pushes are so good. But this is one of the few moments it warrants you basically skipping the mid game entirely and going into single player, going into like SimCity and just taking the whole map. And that's what he did. And dude, this was you know, it was not a lot of games, and some of these games were very short. But man, oh man, what a close, intense series.
Yeah,
Effort is a very worthy opponent.
Yeah.
But you can see that SnOw is just too good at that early game balancing act, too good at getting a read, and ultimately too solid once he has all the tools that Protoss give you for Effort to ever stop.
I'll say I think that was one of the better 4-1s that I can really recall. Well, oftentimes a 4-1 feels very one-sided. That didn't feel super one-sided. Yeah, SnOw played better. Yeah, he deserves the victory. But you know what I mean? It feels more like a 4-2 where I'm satisfied with the match. I'm like, oh, that was good. That was competitive. Although SnOw did, at the end of the day, you know, win 4 times as many games as Effort.
Yeah, Effort put up a good fight on the island map, but you can see when you get to maps that have the kind of common fundamentals that are in all of the, I guess you could call them ladder maps, all of the, you know, what are the most common ASL maps, SnOw is just too strong. So he's going to be going up to face off against Barracks here in the Final 4 of Season 20 of the ASL. We're going to go to an interview now and see how he's feeling. No, we're not. I lied. We're going to go to an instant replay.
Yeah. I love the amount of Archons he had in there. I think the Reaver usage was just right as well. Because sometimes we see people kind of forego the Reavers later on, but just adding in a few Reavers here really, really helped to turn the tides also. Just really great defense and from Effort, but not enough to stop the great unit compositions from SnOw.
Yeah, you can see this push out here. It's funny, you know, Dragoons are so important in the matchup until Dark Swarm comes, and then you stop seeing Dragoons, and then you kind of stop seeing a lot of Defilers. It becomes all about Plague and a couple Dark Swarms here and there. It's funny how that works. There's this sort of circular logic here with what counters what, until eventually it's all just mass-ling Hydra. But, you know, SnOw played a really patient game. And, you know, I think he traded very well on his basis. It's actually insane what a fight Effort put up when you consider, you know, how much of the map SnOw had, which is unheard of in PvZ. We're going to finally go to that interview now and see how SnOw is feeling.
ASL Season 20
And that does it for the second round of 8 match of ASL Season 20. As with today's victory, this guy makes his 4th semi-finals in a row. It's SnOw. Congratulations. Thank you. With an incredibly stellar performance all season long, you score your 4th appearance in the round of 4 in a row. How do you feel? It feels really good. My opponent was someone who plays really well. Honestly, I was feigning strength when in fact I was terrified. I'm glad I managed to win. In the pre-game interview, you expected this to end with a 4-1 or 4-2 score, and you only ended up dropping the first map to your opponent after taking all the following sets. You were ahead in the early game of set 2 on Metropolis. How did you aim to win that game? I needed to win that first set, but I ended up losing it. I realized I definitely need to take the second one. I paid attention to my build for that one. I took care of the coming lings, and afterwards found myself with an advantage. So I kept making zealots just to maintain it. Right. The things that Effort came prepared with today were anything but standard. How was it to face off against that? It was tremendously frightening. It was the kind of style where if I got flustered, I would not be able to hold off the things that needed to be held off. I think I was in quite a few dangerous situations, yeah. And regardless, you dealt with it with a deal of composure. And so winning game 2, winning game 3, going into game 4 on Litmus, Effort tried to go for a backdoor attack, but you read into his intent. Could you explain that situation? Once I realized what was going on, I thought, everything's fine. But my Sim City was so messy. I got put on the back foot. It was a bit of a crisis situation. I actually thought I would end up losing, given how good of a player Effort is. And all of that, it just wasn't easy. SnOw keeps repeating how difficult things were. And with a victory in that 4th set, all of a sudden the score was 3-1. How did you steel yourself ahead of the final, the last set? I have this unique ability to suffer reverse sweeps when I'm ahead, especially if it goes to game 7. I don't think I've ever won a game number 7. So I knew that if this goes to set number 7, my mentality will be gone. I just knew I had to end it right there and then. And this realization became reality as you claimed victory in the 5th set as well. Are you happy with how your training, your sparring against Zerg went today? It didn't go half bad. I just saw the screen and it said I lost all the games except the one against Action. If it hadn't been for the game against Action, it would have been all losses for me. I am happy being able to add one more win today. Seeing it was a Zerg you toppled today, I bet victory tastes even sweeter. Yesterday we saw Barracks as the first player advancing through as he awaits in the round of 4. You will once again meet in a best of 7 after 2 seasons since season 18. How do you think this semi-finals match will go? Let's start with how well Barracks plays. If we practice off-stream, I'm the one losing more. You know, even this time when I was preparing to play against Sharp, I was practicing with Barracks. I was not in the right frame of mind. I gave up all other practice and just focused on Terran. I think I've just run into a tremendously strong opponent.
도전자의 입장에서
I'll prepare with the mindset of a
그런데
challenger.
저는 이제 장윤철 선수가 연습에서 계속 진다는
Anytime
말이
you say
무서워질
you've
것
been losing in
같은데
practice,
두
it
분의 4강이
actually
어떨지
instills
기대가
fear.
됩니다.
I
오늘
can't wait
경기
to see how this
준비하는 데
round of
있어서
4 between you two turns out. Please address the colleagues who helped you practice for today, as well as the fans who supported you. Oh, you came prepared, didn't you?
도움을 너무 많이 받아서
Yes, because I got a lot of help. I prepared for what? Almost 5 days.
5일을 했거든요.
다 말씀해
Go
주세요.
ahead. Okay, so Soma, Queen, BTS, Hero, Sulky, Lava, and yeah, thank you guys.
네, 팬 여러분들께도
And a
한마디
word for the
부탁드립니다.
fans as well, please.
아, 네, 제가
Right.
결승전을 못
It's been like
가는
5 years since I last made it into the finals.
이번에 정말 좀 욕심
I am feeling very greedy this time around. I'll try and go to the finals. Oh, and also, my wife, for 3 days.
어제부터
Oh, it's been
감동의
also
연속이어서
emotional
선생님을
since
기다렸습니다.
yesterday. Take your time.
또 많은 힘이 됐을 것
Looks
같아요.
like she must have been very supportive.
아, 와이프 얘기만 하면
Oh, anytime I talk about my wife, I am so
네,
thangful.
또 이렇게 고맙다는
And words of
말까지
gratitude to close things out, as we have just
이렇게
heard
두
from
번째로
SnOw, our
4강
second
진출에
player
성공한
in the
장윤철
semi-finals.
선수와 이야기 나눠봤습니다. 다시 한번
Once more,
축하드립니다.
congratulations.
장윤철
And that
선수와
does it
인터뷰
for our
나눠봤습니다.
interview with SnOw.
Well, there you have it, guys. Another day in the round of 8 wraps up. This time it's SnOw defeating Effort 4-1. You know, I think the games that we saw, the matches, were very, very close. But of course, the score showed that SnOw is nearly impossible to kill. In fact, in the series, the only map he lost on was our very obtuse map with a bunch of islands. So, you know, SnOw really looking like he has sorted out the PvZ bug, and that means he's going to go on into a PvT where he is the strongest player in the entire world, in the entire history of StarCraft, against the Dark Horse Barracks.
But we saw what Barracks did to Mini. He did say in the interview in the end, and I watched later on afterwards, almost every build that he used, Flash gave him, which is why he was able to take out Mini. So Flash is going to be working overtime to give Barracks builds here for SnOw. And it's hilarious watching Flash influence ASL this much, but who knows? Who knows? Maybe Flash can drive Barracks all the way to a championship.
Yeah, right now, Barracks is the vessel for Flash's builds. Maybe by the finals, Flash will have warged into Barracks' mind and played the game there with Barracks' fresh and not very tender wrists. And that will be how Flash once again becomes a champion. The way that Game of Thrones should have ended.
Yeah.
So next week, we're going to have Soma versus Best and Bisu versus Larva. So it's going to be 2 more PvZs. As it's only Protosses and Zergs left here. Fingers crossed for the Zergs, because right now it's only our 1 Terran and 1 of our 4 Protosses in the round of 4.
Well, I tell you, I've been looking at Soma and SnOw as the 2 favorites of this season since the beginning, and I think that that's what we're going to end up seeing at the end of the day here. But both these matches are going to be great. Best has been playing PvZ out of his mind, and Larva, giving Larva the last match, I think is the best thing that could have happened to him. Because Bisu is not going to noticeably move his skill level in that time, because he's always super active. Larva might be able to. Larva is going to come in probably more prepared. Like, if he had the first match against Bisu, I give it to Bisu 100%. But having this last match, it gives him, like, an extra couple weeks from when it was drawn before he has to play again. So, yeah, I think there's actually a chance here for Larva as he continues to get back into good shape.
I think he's got a real shot. I like your point about Larva. I hadn't really thought about that, but Soma versus Best is going to be crazy here too. I think SnOw likely to get to the finals on his side of the bracket, but I would welcome a Barracks upset. I mean, that would be crazy if he got to the finals.
Yeah.
But this is a much tougher side of the bracket to call, and I'm fine with any outcome. I'm fine with Soma versus Larva, Best versus Bisu, or some mix of the PvZs that we could have here. I mean, they're very, very welcome.
Yeah, I think there's a huge range of what could be ending up here, and honestly, every single finals at this point looks really good. Like, what would the worst finals even be? It would be like best SnOw, and that would still be hype as hell because both of them deserve a championship, you know? So, yeah, like, I can't think of a bad outcome to this tournament anymore.
Well, guys, that's all the time we have. Thank you so much for joining us. We hope you consider signing up for our Patreon. It's patreon.com/ASL English. Consider joining us. We will see you next week. Bye-bye.